राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन नंदन ब्रज जन रंजन जमुना तीर वनजारी जमुना तीर वनजारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय राधा कुंज विहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन जमुना तीर वनजारी जमुना तीर वनजारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय राधा कुंज विहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaura Hari Bol Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Gurudev 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 Jai Gurudev जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र शतभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासुदेव गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय वृंदावन धाम की जय नवद्वीप धाम की जय जगन्नाथपुरी की जय गंगामय जमुनमय की जय भक्ति देवी तुलसी देवी की जय गौर प्रेमानंदे समवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय समवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय समवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री गुरु और गौरांग की जय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Sri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So we'll study something about the character of Dhritarashtra. No, the Bhagavad Gita very interestingly begins with Dhritarashtra Vacha. Very auspicious book. But the first word in the Gita is of Dhritarashtra. So Dhritarashtra, when we study his character, no, he is the one who suffered the most. Usually what happens when somebody suffers, we think they are right. Right? When somebody is experiencing suffering, sympathizing with them is one thing, but to say that they are right is not necessarily logically correct. Right? Because when I remember one time we were in one accident, major accident. Many people died in that accident. Nothing happened to our people, but only because we were in this dress, people did not beat us up. But usually what happens if in India, if there is an accident, they don't see who is at fault, they see who has suffered the most. And people sympathize with them. Right. So therefore Dhritarashtra in the Mahabharata we see, he is the greatest person who suffered. Therefore the Mahabharata begins with narration of Dhritarashtra's suffering. He is talking about, when I realized that Krishna is with the Pandavas, I knew that we will lose the war. When I realized that Pandavas did not die in the Varanavat, I knew that we will be not winning. He talks about hundreds of events. So, but the greatness of the scriptures like Mahabharata is what? They do not sympathize with simply suffering what we are going through. Because giving sympathy to suffering does not solve the problem, because sympathy is like a drug. When we keep looking for sympathy, we don't look for solution, because solution is little tough and difficult one, challenging one. Therefore the Bhagavad Gita in the first chapter, if you see, in one sense there are three lamentations. The first lamentation is the lamentation of Dhritarashtra. Prabhupada writes in the purport, what was his anxiety? There was anxiety, there was some kind of hope. Maybe the holy place of Kurukshetra might develop renunciation in the Pandavas. He was feeling like that. Because he had sent those kind of indication through one of his agent to Pandavas. He said to them, this was much before the battle was decided. He told Yudhishthira Maharaj through Sanjay, he said, you are trained to live in forest as beggars. You are born in the forest, then you are begging in the forest, then during the incognito and Agyatavas, the one and Agyatavas, you also lived as beggars. So therefore you are habituated. You can handle begging, but my sons cannot beg. He sent his message. He said, therefore you can choose to beg and avoid this battle, because my sons are not going to listen. So why wage a war and cause such a violence? And you should beg, but not in Hastinapur, because if you beg in Hastinapur, that will only cause people will ridicule me, they will be angry with me, so therefore you beg in Dwarka. He sent his message. So that was the first time Yudhishthira Maharaj kind of became agitated and angry that his uncle could say these kind of words. So he was hoping that this word will create an impact in the life of the Pandavas, and it did to Arjuna. In the first chapter, Arjuna became bewildered when he saw the battlefield, he saw his relatives, he saw relationship, and he told Krishna, my dear Lord, I prefer to live on begging. Just see, sometime what we speak to someone, we don't realize how those words we can create an impact. Psychologically, it takes some time, right? Like if you talk to some of the kids, when they grow up, there is something which is missing, a miss is there. When you actually go dig down deep into their system, then you realize, many years back somebody said something to them. One very strong statement. It could be one statement, but the impact was so great, it's very unconscious. It takes long time. I remember one of my very close relative, her daughter had a lot of difficulties, challenging situations. So one day, she tried to cut her wrist, and eventually they took her to the doctors. They were not able to find out. She was in 11th standard. And eventually they found in her diary, because one of her aunt, she died in an accident. So she was thinking, what if my mother dies? What will happen to me? She could never reveal that. But she was playing that tape regularly, so therefore she was fearing that my mother dies, that nobody will be there to take care of me. It happened many years back. An unconscious incompetency, you can't even recognize why it's happening like that. So Dhritarashtra had spoken this very strongly, hoping that this will create an impact on Pandavas and they will go away from the decision of fighting against him, and so that his son can continue to rule. But fortunately, if it was not for Krishna, if it was for Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy, Lord Buddha's philosophy, they would have said, very good, Yudhishthira Maharaj, Arjun, very good. They would have taken lamentation as wisdom. They would have taken hankering or lamentation as great wisdom, that you are walking away from wealth, walking away from, growing in life materially. Just see, what is lamentation is taken as wisdom, and wisdom is taken as offensiveness. So therefore Krishna, not that Krishna imposed, not that Krishna influenced, not that Krishna controlled Arjuna, rather Krishna simply proposed logically to Arjuna, what is reality? What is dharma? But, so Dhritarashtra's lamentation was only looking for sympathy. Duryodhana was also lamenting. His entire life was lamentation. When the Pandavas came to Hastinapur, When he saw Pandavas, there was no cause for him to feel anything but privileged that I got such wonderful brother in Yudhishthir. But when Yudhishthir Maharaj came, he took as if that Yudhishthir Maharaj is my greatest enemy. And whenever he was in anxiety, whenever he would lament, in fact, when he came from Hastinapur, when he came from Indraprastha after the Pandavas had performed the Rajaswiya sacrifice, what a glorious sacrifice it was. So many people came. Great rishis came to see the sacrifice. They are fortunate to hear Bhishma Dev glorify Krishna. So many sages had come. So Duryodhana also came. He didn't have to give any tribute to the Pandavas because he was relative. But what caused him the greatest pain when he tells his father when he goes back to Hastinapur, he said, my dear father, after every 15 minutes or half an hour, somebody would blow the conch. That would indicate that thousands of people are taking prasad. He said the conch shell blowing never stopped only, because millions of people were taking prasad. And on top of that, Krishna, what he did was very interesting. Ye yathamam prapadyante. Krishna, because he was part of the family, so he had to feel that, Duryodhana is also part of the family, is part of the yajna. So Krishna gave him the service of collecting all the gifts which will come to the Pandavas. Just imagine, if you are chosen for that service, what gift will come. So naturally Duryodhana was burning with envy, because what kind of gift they are getting. Then Krishna appointed Karna for giving charity. When you don't have to give charity from your own pocket, giving others doesn't matter, right? He was appointed for giving charity. And the Lord himself chose to invite the guest and wash their feet. One Vaishnava Acharya says, Arjuna, Yudhishthira Maharaj said, my dear Lord, why you do this one? Why you are doing this service? He said, you know what? He said, if I don't do that service, if there is some mistake of receiving the sages and the sadhus, sadhus have very dangerous nature also. It is not easy to host them, because they think they are sadhus sometimes. It becomes very difficult. Therefore, Durvas means keep him away. Durvas, dur rakho. Therefore, in Lord Chaitanya's pastime, Sarvam Bhattacharya, one time he told Mahaprabhu, you come alone in my house. Because if you come with so many sadhus, it is difficult to, entertain everybody. Everybody has different diet restriction. He said, I will serve you and others can come afterwards. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smiled, and then eventually when he came, it was raining, nobody could come. He said, yes, Krishna fulfilled my desire. I could serve you my heart's content. So these are the trick of, dealing with sadhus. So then, therefore Krishna said, if the sadhus are offended, they will curse you. Therefore I will wash their feet. I have a habit. When Krishna was in the planet of the Shweta Dvipa, when Bhrigu Maharshi was looking for who amongst the three is most relevant in regards to accepting people's worship. So Bhrigu Muni went to Lord Brahmaji's place, and he did not treat his father nicely. So father was in the mode of passion, so he wanted to be angry, but did not become angry because he was son. So Bhrigu could see the anger in the eyes of Brahmaji. So creation, one devotee was saying, creation requires some passion. Without passion, there is no creation only. If somebody is in Sattva Guna, if you ask them, go and cook in the kitchen, he said, no, I'm in Sattva Guna, I'll sit and meditate. His meditation will be perfect, but he will not get anything to eat. So Rajoguna is required for creation. And then Lord Shiva, when he went to Lord Shiva's place, now Lord Shiva came to embrace Bhrigu Maharshi. Bhrigu Maharshi said, hey, come on, what is this? Bhrigu Maharshi was the brother of Lord Shiva. So then Bhrigu Maharshi said, oh, come on, you are covered with the ashes from from the cremation, you are dirty, no culture, you are surrounded by all hobgoblins and hippies, all these people. So Shiva became very angry, wanted to, strike him with trident. Parvati stopped him. He said, oh, he's your brother. So then Bhrigu Maharshi realized that, he is a personification of destructive energy. For destruction, you need anger. You need tamo guna is a sign of destruction. If you call somebody with a bulldozer to destroy some dilapidated building, they can't sit and watch, oh, this building, so many people stayed here, how can I break this? No, it is not so good. No, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur tells the story of that ancestral well. It's a very interesting story, that this ancestral well, the man, a landlord, he would tell his family members, if you have to drink water only from this well, because so many generations of our people have drunk water from this place. But the family member said, no, this well has a rotten water. It is not drinkable. He said, no, you are offending. You are bringing something new. How can you bring something new? This has been started by our ancestor, you have to drink. He would insist his family members to drink water from that, even though some were dying. That is called what? Going into the past, which has no relevance in the present. Many times it happens. What is not relevant, if you tell people, that you tell them not to watch this and what. No, I remember one mother was telling me, he said, my son is watching so much of television. When I was growing up, I never watched anything. So I had to tell her, Mataji, there was no television when you were growing up. So it is not that you are very, so be truthful in regards to what you say. You did not watch because there is no television. Now the television is there, so deal differently. This language will not work because what you are talking has nothing to do with what this child has. They don't have to go outside. Whereas a small mobile phone has everything. No? Not Doordarshan, Doordarshan only. Real Doordarshan is there. Right. So therefore, Krishna told the Pandavas, I know how to deal. So destruction is required. Lord Shiva needs to use that tamogana, then only destruction will take place. Then the municipal people came. They realized this well is not functioning properly. It is causing so much of pain. They destroyed the well. They broke it. They brought it down. Right. So very interesting concept. Many concepts are there. So when Bhrigu Maharshi came to Lord Vishnu, he came there, he did not even wait, did not even criticize. He just came and actually kicked on the chest of Lord Vishnu, and Vishnu got up immediately. He said, my chest is like stone, your foot must have been hurt, and he started massaging him. So Bhrigu Maharshi said, he makes so much of sense. He's fit to be accepted as worshipable. Why? Because he's in Sattva Guna. Why Sattva Guna? Because Sattva Guna maintenance requires, creation requires Rajoguna, destruction requires Tamoguna, but maintenance requires using all these things. Sattva also uses, Tamo also uses, but he remains always unaffected by them. Like we see Krishna. Krishna did lie, but he did not become a liar. Krishna became violent, but is not brutal. That does not become his habit. I remember one young boy, he asked me this question. He said, why you worship Krishna? Why not others? So I thought, why not explain to him differently? I said, you know what, every other personality, usually they identify with certain quality. I am very honest. Some people say I am very dishonest. Some people say, it doesn't matter to me what I do. Recently, one big politician in India, murderer, he came out. There was a bail given to him, and there were more than 500 Mercedes vehicle following him when he was released. And he was coming out shameless person. I remember when in the beginning years, when I used to go through one of the jails, we have a we go for a program, we have to cross through that jail, Arthur Road jail. And many families, not many, they would be standing outside the jail, putting their heads down, feeling really shy. Nowadays, hundreds of people are standing and everybody is joking, laughing, because jail has become another home. It doesn't matter to them. So therefore, it's a very interesting that Krishna, he basically told them, I will do that because I know how to pacify people. Nobody will be offended by me. So Arjuna, Yudhishthira Maharaj, tears in his eyes that just to protect us, Krishna is willing to perform the duty of washing the feet of the sadhus and actually hosting them. He is taking that responsibility. And then Shripad Madhvacharya explains, then Krishna, after that, he also took the responsibility of what? After they would eat their prasad, yagya bhuk, he would lift all those plates also. He took that service. So Krishna knew how to deal with this. So therefore here, Dhritarashtra we see, Duryodhana saw all this and he was so tormented that they are enjoying so much. He came back and told his father, he said, my dear father, he said, I cannot sleep anymore. I have lost my sleep. Dhritarashtra asked him, what happened? He said, is there any problem with having nice enjoyment for you? I can provide you nicest of the bed. I can provide you nicest of sense enjoyment. What do you want? He said, no, this will not suffice. He said, I want the wealth of the Pandavas. And if I don't get, I will commit suicide. He was like a typical, spoiled child who always demands the parents. Sometimes you see the argument between the mother and the child and the father and the child. The argument begins. The child is shouting, I want this one. And the parent says, you will not get this one. And eventually they give it. And the child goes with the victory flag. How many times my parents say that they will not give, but I get it everything. This is called as Duryodhana syndrome. So Duryodhana knew how to get his things. So he would overcome his lamentation by being bribed by his father. His father would be very upset. Oh, my son is going to commit suicide. So what do you want? He said, call them for a gambling match. He never realized that if I do that, that will be counterproductive. So Dhritarashtra pacified himself by experiencing sympathy from people. Sympathy, sympathy, sympathy. Duryodhana experienced freedom from lamentation by getting what he wanted to get, even though it was unreasonable. We see this in our world, that sometimes to be happy, we are willing to be unreasonable. Sometimes to experience sympathy, we are willing to be diseased. I remember one doctor was telling, sometimes people remain in diseased condition because they feel, if I remain diseased, people will take care of me. I'll get attention. I remember there was one young child, he was 18-year-old, many years back. This was in 89-90. He joined our temple. And this boy was, seeing that one or two devotees get all the attention and then they are praised, they are glorified. He wanted for attention. So what he did was, he sent a message through somebody that he met in a car accident. And he died. So in our temple, we didn't know where to find him because at that time there was no, in those times we could take anybody and everybody, we had no systems. So just dropped into the temple, he said, I want to join. Oh, very good, you join. That's how it happened. And then he stayed for some days, then he sent this message to somebody. Basically we realized actually he only had called afterwards. We realized afterwards that I am dead. And we were having a memorial ceremony for him. And he did all this so that he can get attention from people. So this attention, disease is so great, that people do anything and everything to get that attention. So therefore, when somebody is suffering, if they only look for sympathy, they don't want to get healed because they are happy. getting that sympathy. Oh, people are giving attention to me, people are giving attention to me, people are giving attention to me. Guru is asking me, God brother is asking me. Therefore somebody said, one should not make Guru and God brother a drug. Because what is the nature of drug? We become addicted to that. Guru and devotees are supposed to be nectar. And nectar, what is the nature of nectar? One association, a solid, profound Sangha has the power to maintain that influence for the rest of your life. But more than being a nectar, we make association of devotees like a drug. Addiction. So therefore, Dhritarashtra was like that. Duryodhana was looking for all kinds of facilities. But on the other hand, the Pandavas, Duryodhana, Arjuna went through lamentation. What a lamentation! In fact, one of the great, Sripad Shankaracharya explains, very interestingly, he said, can you imagine that Arjuna was trained to give charity? Vidyadan, he would give Vidyadan. He would give Abhayadan. He would give promises to people. He said, you have trouble, you come to me, I will protect you. One who was supposed to give Abhayadan, one who is supposed to give Vidyadan, one who is supposed to do Annadan, he did so much of charity as Pandavas. Every day they would serve more than 60,000 students, young children, the original Akshay Patra, the original Annamrit. Why students? Because if you serve the students free of cost, then they dedicate for the country. So they would provide every day. That's how Akshay Patra came to the Pandavas. So Annadan, Abhayadan, Vidyadan was their natural inclination as the Kshatriyas. But that very Arjuna, what is he doing? He said, Krishna, I will go and beg and live on begging. And that is how he became a kind of a eunuch. Klaibyam asmagamam partha. Krishna asked Arjuna, how is that Arjuna you become like a eunuch? How can you even talk about these things? You are a Kshatriya. Like in India nowadays, unfortunately, because of this, this whole policy of giving grains free of cost. So when grains are given free of cost to a lot of people where they don't deserve and they don't need, one farmer devotee was saying, and because of that what's happened? That people stopped working on their field. When a farmer begs charity of a grain, that is the height of irony. A farmer who is supposed to give charity to others, what is he doing now? He is begging. And because the free grains are coming to him, impetus to work on the field is gone. Therefore, certain policies, one person wrote an article, they are not pro-poor, they are pro-poverty. Very interesting difference. Pro-poor means you help them to grow. But pro-poverty means you actually destroy them by giving charity where there is no anyonya ashray. I received help so that I can grow and overcome my troubles. One economist was saying, when Narsingh Rao was the Prime Minister of India, they wanted to introduce the same social security system in India also. And one traditional economist said, sir, don't do this. He said, if you introduce social security, what will happen? He said, no, we have to follow the American system. It is such a good system. Then he gave the figure about social security system, how that is deficient now. Slowly, the people who are receiving the security, their number is increasing, and those who are earning. Right, if you go and Google about even American social security system, it is not progressive. It is very risky. So then this economist told him, if you give money to people, what will happen? The children will stop taking care of them. The real social security in India is very private. It is not public. That is taken care by the children. So you will destroy that concept. And you will make them give up their culture and the families will break down. He said, please, for the God's sake, don't do this. No. Just see, sometime, like this is what Prabhupada talks about, if you give a samosa to a person who is suffering from pneumonia, because he's asking her, I want to eat samosa. You may sound that you are doing charity, but what is the reaction to that? Good intentions, but both parties going to hell. So therefore, charity without proper wisdom can only cause pain. So therefore, a farmer, I remember when we used to travel in the bus party, I was fortunate to travel 6 years. In a lot of villages we would go. And what the villagers would do, when they would see that we are kind of, at least the dress of sadhu is there, they would ask us, okay, come into the farm. They would make us stay there also. Without though, we never had any relationship. And fruits you eat as much as you want. Grains they would give. They would give you milk also. We have one farmer, he has got huge mango garden. When some devotees, about 10-15 devotees went to his garden when the mango season was, at the peak, and all the trees were giving unlimited fruits. So he told devotees, don't eat fruit completely. Adha khao. Eat half, eat 1/4 and throw it and go to the next tree and pluck and eat like that. So this devotee said, hey, come on. He said, this fruit is so good. And yes, I want to eat different varieties of fruit, but if I do like that, I am wasting. He said, no waste. He said, because you are in the farm, if you eat half of the fruit and throw it in the ground, my land will become fertile. Nothing will go waste. Just see, the whole psychology is that, in the city, if you eat fruit and throw on the tar road, nothing grows except dirt. But if you throw it in the field, I remember going to one farm in near remote village of Lonavala. So then this man took us to his cows. They were like, huge, almost like elephant size, Gir cows. It was 600 land in the mountains of the Lonavala forest. And he said, we don't have access to go to the cities regularly, so therefore we always churn the milk, we make the butter and then we churn make it to ghee, and then we sell it for 2,500 rupees because these cows graze in the most fertile, herbal connected land. I said, can I get 1 kilo because I thought I'll bring it to the deities. They said, you have to give order. And then because you churn the yogurt, then you get a lot of buttermilk. And there was a large bucket of buttermilk. I said, what do you do with it? He said, no, people like you come, sometimes we ask them to drink, and leftover we just pour it in the fields. I said, what? My ignorance. He said, yes, my land becomes more and more fertile. So nothing goes waste. So the farmer, he told, eat half of the fruit and then throw it. So when there is a prosperity, you become charitable. But to become prosperous, you have to make some efforts. And because when people are given charity without actually making them work hard, what does it do? Their land remains empty. They become habituated. And once they become habituated, then the farmer becomes a beggar. When a Vaishya becomes a beggar asking for a charity, that's the greatest corruption. Right? So therefore Krishna, in one sense, he is chastising Arjuna. You are supposed to give protection to others, you are supposed to give charity to others, and how dare you say that I will become a beggar and live on begging? Are you not ashamed? So just imagine what lamentation was doing for Arjuna. This roga means lamentation gives different kinds of analysis in the mind. Beginning from slow suicide, depression, and taking wrong decisions, right, escaping. And then when you come to Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada writes in one purport, sometimes people use Krishna consciousness to escape their responsibility. They feel that escaping responsibility means I have become very advanced devotee. I tell this story, one Vaishnava, one Sri Vaishnava, he was an Acharya. He was a jeer. Somebody came to him and he said, my dear master, I want to take sannyas. So he asked him, why you want to take sannyas? He said, no, my wife died and therefore I want to take sannyas. He said, that's all? Then he said, he added, she died but I didn't cry. So therefore I was quite sober. I never cried even though she died. So his guru told, you go and get remarried, because sannyas means crying for the entire society. If you have not cried for your wife, how will you cry for the society? You don't have any emotions only. So he was shocked. I never knew about these things. So therefore, sometimes people use spirituality to actually avoid their responsibility. I remember reading something when one Buddhist monk in Sri Lanka, he killed the president or prime minister or vice president, I don't recollect. He killed him. And after killing him, he was caught and they were supposed to hang him, death penalty. So some Christian person came to him, a preacher, evangelic preacher. He said, you become Christian, Jesus will deliver you. Now the difference between Lord Buddha's philosophy, Lord Buddha, even though he rejected the Vedas, but he did not reject reincarnation. Even though he rejected the Vedas, but he did not reject the philosophy of law of karma. So according to law of karma, because you develop this vasana, what is that vasana? I hate him. And that developed a vasana, and that vasana has to come back as a reaction. So he'll get a new body. He has to come back to this world and suffer the consequences. So when the Christian told him, just take shelter of Jesus, you'll be delivered. So before dying, he converted to Christianity, hoping that he'll go back to kingdom of God. Now the question is raised, when you are Buddhist, you come back to this world. When you become Christian, you don't come back to this world. How does it work? Just by converting to something, it does not change your destiny, because that is very verbal. Ajamil, when he chanted the Narayan mantra, when the Yamadutas came to catch him, that story is narrated by Shukdev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj to show the power of the holy name. Right. But what we fail to recognize, he was instructed by the Vishnu Dutas to go and perform tapasya for 12 years in Haridwar. After chanting Hare Krishna, he did not go back to Godhead. After chanting Hare Krishna, first all his sins were eradicated. He became no more recipient of the hellish planet, but he had to purify himself. Therefore, just believing something, our destiny does not change. We have to act based upon that belief also. So just see how he cheated him. It was worse than murdering in one sense. Because when you murder, you go to jail, you get the punishment. But somebody comes to you and tells you, you have murdered, you have killed somebody, don't worry. You become follower of my path, and immediately you'll go back to the spiritual realm. And we start believing that without giving him the process of practicing spirituality. Therefore, Dhritarashtra and Duryodhan are looking for sympathy and facility, but Arjuna was looking for what? Arjuna was looking for solution. And he realized solutions are not very easy. They are not very easy to execute. But without solution, a lamentation does not help us to overcome. Therefore, the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is called as Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Arjuna's Vishada is supposed to be Roga. Vishada is never yoga. Why it is yoga? Because Arjuna made a decision in his heart to follow or to beg Krishna to help him to find the solution. By explaining his heart, first confessing about his problems, and agreed to follow, however difficult the instruction of the Lord was, use his brain, use his logic, and act according to what is beneficial for his growth. And it was not easy. What was it? Even though he heard the Bhagavad Gita, things did not change for Arjuna. He had to still face Bhishma Dev. And who was Bhishma Dev? Bhishma Dev, it is explained, Arjuna, by simply remembering Bhishma, his tears would roll from his eyes out of love, respect. Such a relationship was there. He never hated his grandfather. It was not that, anyway, I hate my grandfather and Krishna is also telling me to kill, that's good. No. Doubting my propensity in Krishna's service. Right. But it was not like that. One time in 31st December, we were going for Harinam. And then, 31st December, it was 12 o'clock and we were in Chowpatty, very close to the temple. All the young guys and girls are driving madly, going around everywhere. So our devotees also were running in the kirtan. They were breaking all the traffic signals. Right. Hare Krishna. So then I was talking to one devotee. We already have the propensity to break the rules. But now, we have Harinam also to do that. Huh? You can do Harinam very systematically without breaking the rule. But the propensity is there. So therefore, this propensity is not our Swadharma. Bad habits are not our propensities. Bad habits have to be given up. So Arjuna, what was he doing? He actually took this solution seriously. And he had to face Bhishma. He had to actually deal with Bhishma. Love and shooting. Can you imagine these two? Solution was not easy. Dronacharya, such a respect for his teacher. But he has to go away. Respect has to be there, but he has to go away. So the conflict for Arjuna, what he went through, was not easy. So therefore, Bhakti Yoga is not about escaping the realities of life. It is not about denying the realities of life, but actually dealing with the realities of life with practicing the yoga of Krishna consciousness. It does not minimize our troubles. It does not maximum our trouble, but whatever troubles we have, it helps us to deal with it. That is what happened with Arjuna. And Arjuna transcended by doing this. On the other hand, Dhritarashtra, we will discuss this tomorrow. When Dhritarashtra, when all his sons were dead, and three people came and gave different instructions to him. Sanjaya gave, Vidura gave, and Vyasdev gave. And Dhritarashtra chose to follow Vyasadeva's instruction. And what it was, what instruction Vidura gave, what instruction Sanjaya gave, what instruction Vyasadeva gave, and how he misused the Vyasadev's instruction to continue to remain attached to this material world, we'll discuss tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. Any questions or comment? No, I'm
just letting you know. That's the general.
You can take, if you have questions, I will take. Otherwise, it's little. Anybody has any questions or comment? Yeah.
Right. So very nice point about that. We hear about 6 dealings between devotees, and one of them is revealing your mind in.
Guyam akyati prachati. Yeah.
Revealing your mind in Bhagavad. Sometimes the line becomes a little thin, whether we are revealing your mind in confidence or we are really lamenting. So how to draw the line when we are dealing with devotees, especially when we have a trouble, and sometimes I think I am revealing my mind, confidence.
See what Rupa Goswami talks principles. You have to see the spirit behind it. It is not a law, it is the spirit. Because when you reveal your confidential problem to someone who is not matured, there is a chances of getting a wrong advice. There is a chances of getting exploited also. Therefore, when confidential discussions are there, like Arjuna, to confess his heart to someone, to his friend Krishna, it takes great honesty. So Arjuna had that honesty, and Arjuna also had the discreet understanding that I will not be exploited by Krishna. He will not misuse what I reveal to him. So therefore, giving prasad and taking prasad is very easy. Giving gift and taking gift is little difficult. Because sometimes you only give gift and you don't receive. Right. So therefore people created systems now, return gift. So, but the third one is the most difficult one. Therefore, honesty also has different gradations. Sometimes people are so shameless, they come and tell their friend. So that is not honesty, that is shamelessness. Somebody is very arrogant. They say, who cares? I did this. So they are honest, but they are not talking about honesty, they are talking about arrogance and nobody can do anything to me. Some people come and lament. They don't want solutions. They just want to keep talking about the same old thing, what happened 20 years back, then it becomes 25 years back, then it becomes 30 years back, Then you celebrate 50th year of your lamentation. People want to keep on hearing about, listening, talking about that. That is one kind of honesty, but you're only just talking about it. And there is confession. You confess so that you feel relieved. That could be a solution. And the real honesty is that when we say something to someone, lamentation, where we have the courage to accept the solution, or at least discuss the solution. Otherwise there is no point in just talking and spoiling somebody else's consciousness. Why should we do that? Better handle yourself. And certain honesties are supposed to be, sometimes people write about their books. Mahatma Gandhi wrote about in search of truth. But certain things he talks about his life, there is no need to tell the whole world. No, nobody is asking that. What you did in your private life. There is no need. Tell some people where they matter to you, they can help you. Otherwise, telling the whole world, putting on the Facebook, sending on the Twitter, I'm very honest, this is what I did. But what is the benefit? Ultimately what Shastras talk about, it is not about the truth. It is not about the fact. But that fact doesn't change your life. Therefore, Guhyam Akyati Prachati is a very high level of interaction between a devotee, where that relationship is very deep, knowing very well that this will not be misused. Other many times you tell somebody something about your troubles, and when you come back home, it comes as a WhatsApp message to you only. So nowadays privacy is lost. I remember I was in Singapore, I was doing an Aarti. I finished the Aarti, I received a picture of me doing Aarti on the WhatsApp from Delhi. I said, this is very unfair. There is no privacy only. Right. So this whole technology has created very shameless communication to the extent where you are embarrassed to highest extent. Therefore it's very deep subject on confidentiality. Dhyam Akyati Prachati. So therefore this has to be taught to people. Don't reveal it to the world. It's not that just because you're honest. If you're honest to wrong people, it's not good. Because then when you want to be honest, you've given up that honesty because you feel, if I tell, people will misuse what I said. Like this happened during Prabhupada's time. One sannyasi had a trouble. And he told somebody, and that devotee told it to everybody. And Prabhupada said, you made him impossible to come back by talking about this. They said, what was the point in talking about this to everybody? What did you gain? He told you honestly, but you told everybody, so you made impossible for him to come back because he's embarrassed now. So therefore, one of the important principle, at least I try to follow, do not interrogate people. Where were you all these days? You didn't come to the temple? It's a wrong question. It doesn't sound that if somebody actually has not come for a long time asking that question, hey, where were you all these days? It looks like, being sitting in a police station. I remember many devotees we realize asking that question doesn't go well. You feed them prasad. But we can say, oh, nice to see you. Oh, nice to see you. Where were you all this time? No. So then what happens if they don't have any relationship and you are asking question which doesn't matter to their life? Then they become more and more distant. So there are certain common sense logic where people need to practice so that people who are going through certain challenges, difficulties, they don't feel threatened by our questions. No.
Thank you. Thank you, Rupa. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, yes.
So how do we understand healthy lamentation? If we can lamentation be healthy or?
Yeah, lamentation is healthy when when that said Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Arjuna knew well to reveal his heart and was willing to follow, at least discuss with Krishna and follow the suggestion given by Krishna to overcome his lamentation. Maintaining lamentation for rest of your life is depression. It's actually roga. And solving your lamentation by getting some kind of benefits what Duryodhana was getting. Always, that is also habituation, it's an addiction. But when you lament or lamentation is there, but actually there is a tangible solution. Because solutions are difficult, but if somebody follows that, then they can transcend lamentation. No, that is how. So therefore, yes, there is a facility. But it is not like, like Madhendra Puri was lamenting. No, that was ecstasy. But Ramchandra Puri considered, why are you crying? You are dying and you are crying. Just focus on Brahman. So he's giving advice to someone who doesn't need that advice. He's not lamenting because he's suffering. He's lamenting because he's in ecstasy. Right, like another time one devotee was taking Prabhupada and Prabhupada almost like tripped. And then he said, Prabhupada, be careful. So he said, that is your responsibility to take care of my physical body because I can't. So he said, that's your responsibility. Therefore, there are different people who take responsibility. Like another principle we see, sometimes people who come to spirituality, they look for Guru for him to play all kind of role. He has to become my father. He has to become my mother. He has to become my, give all the feelings of brother, sister and everybody. But that's not his role. His role is to give spiritual advice, spiritual instruction, spiritual knowledge. So looking for that fatherly affection from a spiritual master, you can offer gratitude. There are poetries, there are poems, you are my father, you are my mother, you are everything for me. That's a bhav. But in reality, to ask that kind of relationship from Guru, people get frustrated because he will not give that. That can only be receiving from your family. Right? Devotee Sangha is devotee Sangha. Family is family. They are two different things. Right? So this is how when you try to substitute with something else, and wrong expectation causes pain. So therefore when there is a lamentation, we have to see where this lamentation has to be revealed. Who is capable of handling this one? If you have lost money in business, you can't come and ask your counselor who has no job only. He's also worried about it. So just because he's a counselor, he is not capable of giving you financial advice. If you are having some medical problem, you don't go to someone who doesn't know about it. However, you may have, I remember going to one seminar in Mayapur. You may have a very good friend, full of integrity, but you have a kidney problem. You don't go to him. You may tell him, I'm going to a surgeon. But you go for a surgeon, even though, he may be Pakistani, but he's a professional surgeon. Right? You know that he's acting as a doctor, not as for Indians I'm talking. Right? So therefore, that intelligence one has to develop. That common sense one has to develop. If we don't develop that common sense, then like Jayadvaita Maharaj is saying once, he said, people will sell you French bridge and you'll buy it also, as if it can be purchased. I remember one devotee was telling, one man was selling washing machine. He said, very easy washing machine, and for 300 rupees. And people bought. This happened in South Bombay. And there was some kind of bucket, and there was handmade. You move it with your hands. He made huge money. He didn't say it's a machine made, it's a washing machine. No, it could be manual also. So there are people who can cheat. Or there are people with good intention, but they are not mature to give you that advice. So therefore, one of the first lessons what we teach or we have to learn, that to have common sense. But unfortunately in Kali Yuga, common sense is most uncommon. And we realize sometime too late. It becomes difficult to damage control. But at least those who go through this, they should, share their stories with others so that others don't go through that. Hare Krishna. Last question, yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhuji, you talked about lamentation and some of it's almost like a rogue, right? And it causes depression and other symptoms. But there are like situations in life where these symptoms are very subtle, meaning you might be lamenting, but you don't know, and you are depressed in some way, or there is your mind cannot really contemplate that what is happening to me, whether it's my health or maybe some job issues or whatever the case may be. So when you say lamentation has a solution, so I interpret that every lamentation, depending on the situation, you try to find a solution. So what would be the essence in terms of identifying such kind of...
Therefore, there are four kinds of, like there is a unconscious incompetency. Heard about this? Unconscious incompetent. So you are incompetent, lamentation is there, same thing, but you are not conscious of it. That is considered as the most deadliest of the disease. But higher than that, in one sense, is conscious incompetency. At least we are aware. Diagnose ho gaya. And the third is conscious competency, and highest is the unconscious competency. Like breathing, we are breathing, but we are not conscious unless somebody has a breathing problem. It has become we are not conscious of it, but we are breathing. Like if you are walking in your house, you know where to go. We are unconscious about your competency. Language, when you learn mother tongue, child is speaking the language but does not know what language it's speaking. You ask, which language speaking? He said, he'll answer, pata nahi. So therefore the disease, when it is unconscious, then how it takes toll of our life is difficult to understand. Therefore being in the association of people with wisdom, No, experienced people. Like recently, Bhurijan Prabhu was telling somebody. He said, when I was growing up, we were told, we used to follow this principle that do not trust anyone beyond 30. He said, now I'm 65-year-old or 70. I don't know exact age. He said, now I've got new mantra. Don't accept anybody who is not above 50. Because there are a lot of enthusiasm, but no wisdom. There are a lot of information, but application is not there. Therefore, fresh devotee, when he has read something and is very strong to give that knowledge, it becomes an information transformation, but the transformation is opposite direction. So therefore, when we associate people who are with wisdom and experience, so then they have, because of that experience, because of that wisdom, therefore Bhagavad Gita, in the Mahabharata it is explained, how does one become matured? Maturity comes by time factor, Guru's grace, God's mercy, interacting with the world, because we need to, and Shastras. It is not only one aspect. All these factors are involved. That's how one becomes matured. So therefore, nowadays unfortunately again, we lack interaction with family members, with the society. People live in a very isolated way. So therefore, nobody comes to know whether somebody is going through some difficulties, some challenges, loneliness. Only when it comes up to here, then they crash. So therefore, it's very important that we interact with the world, with people with wisdom, with knowledge, with proper understanding, those who can actually explain Shastra. Like when Yudhishthira Maharaj asked Bhishma Dev, he said, what is important, endeavor or destiny? And the same question was raised by Dhritarashtra to Vidura, which is important, endeavor or destiny? Now if you see the answer, Vidura told Dhritarashtra, he said, Daiva is superior to endeavor. And Bhishma told Yudhishthira Maharaj, he said, endeavor is superior to Daiva. Now, if someone does not understand, they say, hey, Vidura and Bhishma are fighting with each other. They have a different opinion. Vidura is deviant. Why did he say like that? Because it is not that information alone. How does it change, transform? Because Dhritarashtra was endeavoring so much to make his sons king. So therefore, Vidura told, it's Daiva. How many times are you going to try? Daiva is not with you. And on the other hand, Yudhishthira Maharaj was reluctant to take over. He was not acting only. He was bringing Daiva in the future. Maybe it's not good for me. Maybe I should not be doing this. Maybe I should not be doing that. Then Bhishma Dev said, no, efforts. If you do right efforts, the Daiva will follow. So what instruction is beneficial? Sometimes those who have, elderly people, I see sometimes devotees who are elderly, they come to college campus. I saw, one couple, elderly couple, and they were interacting with children, young children. They're just telling, just chant Hare Krishna. We have traveled, we have seen the world enough. Just chant Hare Krishna. I said, my God, now these kids are going to follow their instruction. You have seen the world, but you have not become matured. What to tell those young people? To tell young children to renounce everything is counterproductive. And to tell 70-year-old man, I think you should start your new life, fresh life. That is also counterproductive. So now because, they were all, I was telling somebody, they were becoming Mirabais. Especially they were all girl students in one place. I said, somebody has to stop them. Otherwise they'll take wrong decisions in life by following the wrong kind of advice. Therefore, it is important that churning, manthan is the way which gives rise to different kinds of discussion, and discussions gives rise to, proper understanding. Proper understanding caused by a lot of experiences gives rise to right decisions. But it's true, what you're talking, sometimes we don't realize that what is my lamentation. Hare Krishna, I'll stop here. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanande. Hare.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Govinda Prabhu, for the enlightening class.